Absolute lollipop.
He's been able to advance.
It's in the air. This is going to be out straight down his throat. Oh, he's dropped.
Iguodala to Curry. Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James.
Oh, he's knocked it over. What a ripper. What a good piece of bowling.
Ronaldo!
The Bros! The Bros!
Unbelievable!
Welcome everybody. This is the Student Athlete Podcast. I am Santosh, a cricketer pursuing a degree in Bachelor's of Commerce.
And I'm Sriram, a bowler pursuing an ICT degree.
And we are your hosts. Hello and welcome everyone. You're listening to the Student Athlete Podcast. In today's episode, we have a dashing footballer for you. He has represented his school in the Subroto Cup under 14 and under 17 age category. This is a state level tournament. He has also represented his district in the football under 14, under 16 and under 17 age category. He is a Gujarat Beach football champion. He has also attended the national camp to represent Gujarat in the under 16 football. He is the captain of his university and also his school teams. He has come first in the 10th board exams. Also, he has completed his schooling from the Atul Vidyalaya Valsad in Gujarat. Currently, he is pursuing his bachelor's in DAIICT, batch of 21. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Sagar. Hello Sagar, welcome on the show. So, how did your football journey start?
Me and my sister used to travel back from school, but she was already in her 10th standard. So she had to stay back after school for her extra lectures. So I had nothing to do. So I just went to the field and for the high school kids, there were training sessions going on. So there were balls kept all around the field. So I just picked up a ball and started playing. So I used to do this a lot, for a month or so. And then later, the coach, the football team coach, he was also a sports manager for school. He just saw me playing and he just invited me to join the football team. And then I clearly remember that I was a fat kid then. And, I didn't feel or think that I would be able to play in the team, but never mind. I just got the opportunity and I just, went on to play for the school team soon. Yeah. And I was offered the goalkeeping position. Probably because, I was tall back then, not now though. So I was offered the goalkeeping position. And I just did, I was the goalkeeper just for one match in my entire football career. And I just got the ball once in that match too. So yeah, pretty much it started in school and it was just, serendipity. There was nothing more.
Right. So, how did you develop the passion for the game?
You see, YouTube was booming in India around when I was around in 5th grade, 6th grade. There are beautiful compilations of big players. So there was Zidane, Gigi Buffon, there's Cristiano Ronaldo. And I just used to, in school, when we had computer classes, we just used to go through YouTube and watch these videos. And we were just fans of the players especially, not the game as per se. Because football was clearly not big in India then, especially broadcasting wise. So these stars, their video compilations, they were just amazing.
Right.
And we used to play that thing and we thought that we'd grow at that level and shoot the ball the way they did. So it was just amazing. And it just carried on. I'm telling you, it snowballed that way. And following the footballers out there, the passion grew and my school was pretty good in football. Yeah, I must say they were pretty good in football, especially in Valsad. So it was nice. And yeah, pretty much that way.
Wow. So who were your role models while you're growing up and right now?
Like sports wise?
Okay, we could go sports as well as the role models in your life apart from sports.
Okay, first I was a huge fan of Gandhi. Honestly speaking. Yeah, because we were made to read his autobiography in a 5th grade course.
Wow.
So I was like, this man has done something. and I used to religiously follow all his ideals. Yeah, I told my parents that I'm a non-violent boy from now on because I had read Gandhi, and I literally knew my experiments with truth from like front to back, and it was pretty awesome because he was the guy that everyone followed. He was on the notes and all, so I was a big fan of Gandhi back then. And then soon, high school happened, and sports came into my life. And then role model wise, the perseverance, the training that Cristiano Ronaldo shows, or he transmits that feeling in every footballer or football fan out there. So there are many haters, but I just love Cristiano Ronaldo. Basically, he was my role model sports wise. Like my development as an athlete, I just used to follow him rigorously in any way possible. Watch all the matches, see what he's doing, and he's like, even till date, he was tested as the best athlete in Juventus, his current club, at his age. So pretty much that was the whole point.
Yes.
Yeah, and that made me follow him a lot, and he was my role model. Apart from that, I guess now I'm not so naive in that way to make someone my role model, but yeah, I get inspired here and there from people.
So, speaking of the book, My Experiments with Truth, which part of the book inspired you?
The initial part of the book, it has a lot of incidents in his life that talk about his childhood. How he took little things very seriously. Him eating a goat and then thinking that, that goat is alive in his stomach. Like his experiment with, life when he was so small. And, he tried to eat dhatura. Dhatura is a substance that is intoxicating. And he did that once, and he felt so guilty and responsible for his parents, for everything that he had. So incidents like these, they just inspired me because it was like as I was living my childhood through his eyes while reading that book. So that was just amazing.
So, what is your perspective on life? I mean, how do you look at situations and view life in general?
Whenever I have a lot of time, to think about it, I ponder on this question. And if you think that if you were born today, okay, what would you do tomorrow? With the same amount of knowledge that you have, if you were born today, what would you do tomorrow? Forget about whatever has happened previously or something like that. So when I think about this question, if I were born today, not keeping in mind whatever has already happened, but the amount of knowledge that I've acquired, the future, like life is basically what will happen in the future. So I think about it, and I feel that there is a purpose that I'm looking for, a strange purpose which I would not know until I live tomorrow. So the thing I'm trying to say is I just try to think what I'll do tomorrow, and I'll try to find that purpose every day. Keep on doing whatever I want to do right now and think what I'll do tomorrow. That's it. So I just live life in present and tomorrow, not even future and not even in past. That is how I look at life. And I'm a big fan of Nietzsche and his theory that every human on this, like in this world, is there to serve a purpose, some sort of purpose. So I'm trying to seek my purpose in life and try to achieve that somehow.
Wow. So, since you have told that you ask yourself, what if I was
Right.
born today? I would like that would lead me to the next question. What if today was your last day?
Wow, that's a really good question. What if today was my last day? I'd probably just go to my parents, if today were my last day, and spend as much time I could with them. Because I feel that there's nothing out there that I could have done or I have already done that I need to go pay reverence to. But my parents, especially, like my very own existence is them. Like, so that feeling is there somewhere inside my body, and I want to fulfill that. And since it's my last day, obviously I'll want to meet them and spend as much time with them. Yeah, that's it.
Wow, well said. I like the part when you said, I don't think I have something else more to fulfill. That shows that maybe you live each day as your last.
So, do you set goals?
Well, I'd be dishonest if I said no. I do set goals, yes. Long-term goals will always be there. They're like, don't you guys think that they are derived by our society? Long-term goals, there's this age where you are supposed to do this, that. Well, those boundaries are, they are shattering now. Like, when people could have done things that they didn't have to do at that age. But long-term goals are already set by the society. So I don't, prescribe to all of that ideology. And I feel that age does not matter. And I'll set goals thinking about what I want to do and find the purpose in my life. Yeah, that is my main goal, to somehow find purpose. So, like, for the sake of the argument, there's an educational goal that I might have, that to fulfill this purpose or the purpose of my life, I'll have to at least be educated this much, or know at least this much about life in general. So that will be a part of my goal, or earn this much. But in the end, I don't think a lot about setting goals, but they just come naturally inside me. Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in future, and what is your current goal?
So as I see my future going on further, uh, the sports part of my life will drastically reduce. So personally, from within myself, I think I'll have to do something so that I can keep up with it. Go to a city where sports is prevalent. Sports clubs, Sunday league clubs, something like that. Because I can't just leave football like in a year. Like this pandemic situation, especially. You see, you can't just go out and play, and that feeling is not great, especially for student athletes like us. So my immediate goal is to go wherever and
Especially,
find
yes.
my niche place where football is loved and played as well. So that is my immediate goal.
Wow.
As you mentioned earlier about the societal pressure, like you need to get settled by 25, you need to get married early, and all the other things. So, how do you handle the societal stuff, and how do you not let that into your mind?
These things were in my mind when I was in my high school, or when I was preparing for college at least. But coming to college gives you that sort of a liberation from these ideas, and gives you the avenues and opportunities, I guess, to think differently. Like, what if I wanted to start a management career in sports, but I'm not educating myself in that way, right? So, uh, I
Correct.
know that many of my friends, or some like people my age especially, would start getting jobs, going into the industry, something like that. But if personally I think that uh, I want to pursue
Right.
something like this, now that I've come to college. Earlier this was not a very clear idea, but now that I've come to college, I know that there are opportunities available, and I don't need to just limit myself within the societal structures or norms, I guess, that you'll have to get a job or something, or get into the industry, or educate yourself in a way that you are able to earn soon. I have especially a good support from my family too. So these structures are no longer like there's no. I've tried to reduce their space in my head whenever I'm thinking about my future or life in general.
What went through your mind when you first started playing football?
Yeah, like, haven't you guys had that feeling that playing a sport, especially representing your college or your school, gives you recognition that boosts your confidence in other fields as well. Like there's a clear trickle down effect that I've faced in my entire life. Whenever I've played sports, wherever it just trickles down, my personality, is that of a disciplinarian or a person who works hard to achieve whatever he gets. So that just permeates, even though I might not be one, but playing a sport does that to you. So yeah, like in in school, that was pretty much for me being popular or something like that. But soon, when I became the captain of my school in standard 8, there was an added responsibility, and now I play to win, always win. So it evolved. The purpose that I have to play football or something like that, it just evolved. First, it was just for fun and popularity. Then it was responsibility, and I just liked it. The evolution was great. It was like in accordance with my development as well. It was like a puberty hit in that thinking
Right.
as just a kid, and then I started growing. So it was great.
So, Sagar, remember back in 2019, around September, we had this talk and you asked me to dissociate crisply. I remember that word, like those two words really well. So, what do you mean? Or not exactly what do you mean, but how do you realize that you have to dissociate right now? And how do you do it?
Well, it was very contextual then. So to explain that would be very easy then. But for now, for the podcast viewers or for you guys who don't have context, explaining this is very difficult. But you realize the word disassociation means separating yourself from something.
Yes.
Or like detaching yourself from something, right? And the word crisply means, it should not be a prolonged event. It should just be in a snap of, like, can you hear the snap? Yeah, it does not prolong. So basically, if you're attached with the idea, and if you think that idea hampers your development or hampers your general life, so my ideology is try to disassociate it with it instantly and try to isolate yourself for a while, at least for a while, to realize what your life is with it and without it. So when you realize what your life is without it, you'll know the differences. Really. And then in your mind, we are built in such a way that we always are able to, have that survival instinct in ourselves. So that survival instinct has evolved into our instinct of thinking clearly or to the best of our benefits in today's society. So when you have that comparison right in front of you, you can clearly judge what is good for you and what is not good for you. And the problem here is this is a personal process. If someone else tells you that this is good for you or this is not good for you, it becomes not a personal process, and somewhere in the back of mind, you blame that person for your losses or for your gains. So it is very important that you do it yourself, take others' help. But dissociating crisply means, having that moment with yourself, to realize what is good for you and what is not, and that just sorts it out somehow. And then somehow you'll know, is my personal feeling. And that is why I, preached that to you, maybe.
So, also, a conversation from back then.
That was a pretty intense summer, right?
Yeah. So you said you were in a slump after 10th. Not you, your mom said that.
Yes.
Where she pointed out saying that you did work hard. What was that phase like? And also, you did a long term.
Yeah.
And that for many students do that. And doing that sounds like a big setback to people who don't do it?
Yeah, it's inexplicable. Yeah, I mean, who would want to do that?
Exactly. And there are people who do it like 2 to 3 times. So how did you cope with that?
So, like, I'll answer it chronologically. So, you already know about my 10th standard.
Yeah.
Like, I came first in my boards. I always used to excel. Always used to excel in schools, particularly because I was a athlete, and that all helps in other parts of your life.
True.
So, academically, I was very strong. All right, and when you're preparing for your 10th or for any exam in general, you always know what you are going to achieve after that, right? That either you'll pass the grade, either you will score good, and you'll have there's an avenue of opportunities out there because of that. So 10th, whenever someone gives 10th, it's just for creating that space that in junior college or in high school they'll get science stream or something like that, so that their career progresses. So this was after 10th. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to pursue maths. I don't know whether it was social conditioning or my personal choice, but then I wanted to do maths. So I took up maths, and soon I had to go away from my family because I had to do my high school in Mumbai. There was a coaching associated with it, and my high school required that I study a lot for the joint entrance examination and study less for my boards. So school and coaching are they're two different worlds. They make you do the same thing but in different ways. If you ever have been to a coaching or a tuition, you'd know that their only desire is to get results out of you, which is a win-win of it. Yeah, it is a win-win, of course, that they also get results, you also get results. But in that pursuit, if there are 60 students in class, this the coaching, it's basically capitalistic, that they'll focus or give more time or investment to the top or the cream of the class, which was not the case in school. In school, our teachers are pretty awesome, especially my teachers were. They treated almost everyone the same. If I'm not wrong, and the batch strength was not that great. So there was no instant motivation in high school, and the coaching environment was not very suitable for me. So, but I tried, who knows what's there tomorrow, what if I might continue. So I tried, going through the churning process every day. I used to attend all the lectures and all. But since there was no incentive and I had lost complete contact with sports, so the discipline part of me also was lost. So somewhere down the lane, I didn't work hard enough. I can't say I didn't work hard, but I didn't work hard enough, or whatever is expected out of high school or coaching.
Can you say that you couldn't? You were not able to match your level
I could
and
say
your
that,
standards?
and that was a result of many factors. If I look, which I was not able to realize when I was in high school, but I thought that others are doing the same. Why not? That herd mentality, it gets to you, and you lose your individual thought process, that what is good for you. And I guess my interaction with my parents, that also reduced a lot. So somewhere down the lane, they also felt that I was not doing my best, at least. So that led to a total disaster, in my own words, in my entrance examination. And then I came back home. I remember that day very clearly. So I had a decision to make, whether to continue with whatever I have or whatever opportunities I'm getting right now, or repeat the churn, that same process. Can you imagine doing the same thing that you've been doing for 2 years and doing that for one more time, and not knowing whether the result will be favorable this time as well, because the competition is nuts and bolts. You must be knowing about joint entrance examination.
Yes.
So it was a very important, and I guess it was a very brave decision on my part. And the long term, as you say, we call it the drop year. I like your positive approach of it, the long term.
Yes.
So I'll call it the long term right now, and say that it was one of the most important bridge is like it's a bridge here in your life, when you become something from someone else. So I had become someone else when I was in high school. Not completely transformed, but the thinking process, the ability of you to think that you could be a champion, you could be successful, that all was, quite low when I was starting off my long term. But, I built myself in that long term. I used to run a lot.
Right.
Running cleared my thought process a lot. And repeating those things was very easy, but doing it the way that I wanted, and I was at my home during all this time. Like, this is a very important thing to point out. Like, being at home, I thought always, like, I always want to go away from my home, start a new life somewhere else. But being at home, grounded me in so many ways that if you don't have this support, you're nothing in life. Like, it was not just the support that my parents gave materialistically, but emotionally. Like, they didn't come every day and tell me, that everything will be fine, everything will be okay. But just them being there, doing whatever they do, and letting me do my business and having confidence in me, that boosted a lot of my confidence back. And they were awesome friends. Friends are always important in these years and in every point of time in life, as we all have realized during this pandemic period. So it was all of these factors that helped me build back my winning spirit. And I clearly, in my own terms, I clearly aced the joint entrance examination this time. And yeah, man, like, running and all of those things, they're such important like mind clearers. Yeah.
With music, how is it? Without music, how is it? So if you're running with music, is your motivation less than while you're running without?
Yeah.
So initially when I started this, this routine, I didn't need music, There were a lot of thoughts already then, which were already in my mind. So I never needed music initially.
Exactly.
And, there's this trance that you go in, and the end of it, and like, there's a runner's high, if you know about that
Yes.
term. I've read a lot about that. So you get that, and basically music also gives that. But initially I didn't need music. So to get out of that slump, it was all in my head. And the process, the rhythm of running is just amazing. It's music in itself, I'm telling you. The breathing process, the sweat that continuously drips down your forehead, it's all kind of music. Yeah, like, it's great. And
I mean,
yeah, but now that if I add music, I've done both. Okay, I've gone for music runs also, and like without them also. And the music runs are fun too, but they're not that great. Music is just a crutch. You don't grind a lot when you're with music. You already create a space in your head when you're not tiring. Well, I run longer when I'm with music. This I realized. But it's a crutch, and I don't hate it. But if I want to, have my run, I won't ever have music with it, especially. But yeah, house music, Beatles sometimes. Yeah. What else? I don't know whether all about you, but do you guys ever do indie while you're running? I've had the pleasure of listening to indie and indie rock both, and it was all right. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pineapple on pizza.
I think I should start.
What
running.
Music do you follow while running? Huh? What music?
I don't run.
I mostly don't listen to music. Because I think when you don't listen to music, you go inside while you're running. You go inside yourself. You can, after, for example, you are running a 5 kilometer. After 3-4K, you are going to have, let's stop here. Your ankles are paining, your knees are paining. And that's the stage I feel, you have to fight yourself, to push one more mile or one more kilometer. And as you told, You know, when
Yes.
you started running without music, you already had thoughts in your mind, and that's actually, I mean, that's truth. Because when you run without music, you can think about, you can analyze, self-analyze. But when you listen with music, I feel that, you know, music takes you back to situations in your life, you know, where you gain extra motivation from those situations, either good or bad. But yeah, I
Okay.
feel I'm more comfortable
But
without
music is
running. I
all
mean,
not
without
like
music.
not that bad at all. Yeah,
Yeah, you're running.
that's
In
what
the
I'm
end, you're
saying.
running. If you're talking about mental strength, yeah, then you should take
Exactly.
out.
Music.
It's like you said, add a pinch of salt as you require it.
So, football is a very competitive game, and with football comes its own set of injuries. Okay, not that other sports you don't get injured, but the chances of getting injured in football is at a higher percentage. So, how do you deal with injuries and cope up with them? Because they can taunt you very badly.
Then there's the severity of how bad it is and how worse it is.
Right.
So the worst injuries and ones that are funny. So funny worst injuries, they're the worst kind of them. You just can't sleep in the night thinking that you did such a silly thing and you're injured so bad. So this happened like yeah, like
That's
this happened to me
completely
last
fucked up.
year, and I was soon to become the captain of my college team, and I got injured 15 days prior to that. 15 days, and we had tournaments lined up all around the semester. So it was personally my worst injury. Others were all professional injuries. You get injured while playing, but these kind of injuries, there's a mental trauma to it also. Like it was just so silly. You couldn't have just gone out without your shoes or cleats, and I couldn't have just stayed back, not wanting to play so in vain. So these kind of injuries, they have a mental toll on you, and I just hate them. And I don't know how to deal the mental side of it. You just have to get recovered as soon as possible to like wash off all the guilt. But yeah, the physical part of it, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I know all the mices of physiotherapy now, of how to get away with ankle sprains, knee injuries, calf injuries. I literally can name all the majorly injured muscles in my leg now. But yeah, so to avoid these injuries, basically, I had started this routine 2 years ago. It was a Nike routine, and it basically helps you tone your body in such a way that, especially your leg injuries, are uh, you can get away with them. So, working on your smaller muscles. There are a large group of muscles and small group of muscles, and mainly injury happens because your large group of muscles dominate your small group of muscles. So building a small group of muscles is also very necessary. So
Right.
I have been practicing, exercises that help build my small group of muscles as well. And yeah, so keeping away from injury is very important, and dealing with it is equally important. And I guess professional help and a lot of mental matter is what is required. Well, like that was a very good question. Okay, I'd never expected that question, but it's such a
Right.
great part in football, at least.
So
Sorry, no,
coming to
nothing.
my question, you know, uh, this comes from observation again. You have a very selective behavior to certain situations. All right, and what I think I told you this. It's called diplomacy. So when you're with someone, you you have a different behavior with me, but when we both are alone, you have a different behavior. Okay. Opposite of this would be totally ruthless, unfiltered talk, being totally
Yeah.
unfiltered. So you have these filters, which what is this all about? And as a captain, what kind of behavior do you think helps the most? Having a diplomatic or being ruthless?
I know the people I love, okay? And they know that too.
Yes.
And there's a third person in the context also always.
Yep.
Somehow. We both are there and someone else is there. And my behavior changes accordingly so that no one takes us for granted. You understand what I'm saying?
True.
If they find that we are too strong together, if they feel that, they would not be very open to us, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like these two are the best buddies. I'm like, I try to submerge them in our group, especially for that point of time. And that it's not about diplomacy. I portray diplomacy. It's just that I try to imbibe the conversation. Like the conversation should be open, and there are ideas and thoughts that I would not say right in front of them, that I would say to someone personally. So it's just like I manage the situation in a way that it's a healthy talk, it's a good talk. And this kind of an attitude might not be very good, but it works great, especially when I'm micromanaging people. Like school is all fine, it's all about discipline, following the orders of the coach. But college is a whole new beast. You know what I'm saying, right? You have to, if you are in a leadership or management position, you have to manage different characters, and especially all of them think that they are great in some or what respect. They're at your same level, and you have to have that kind of personality that you can deal with them collectively and individually both, and still not come out as a person who does not consider them valuable. So it's a very important thing, that not diplomacy exactly, but micromanagement is portrayed in a way that the entire team environment is very healthy. So I won't give away how I micromanage my people, because that's that trades are like tricks of the trade. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but I would say that I like to know a person's actual personality outside of the game. Yeah, this is what I like to do. So knowing that helps me study or know why they behave in a particular way inside the game. Because people say that they leave themselves out, like their personal life outside, and they totally focus, but that's a very stupid thing to say. How can one do that? There's always this subconsciously some personality trait that comes out in their play. Like for in general, there are people who are called non-passers. Like in cricket, the people who always want to bat and not field, if I might say, Santosh. Yeah, these kinds of personalities, they're more mature in college. In school they were prevalent, but they were managed with strictness. But in college they can't be managed with strictness, for sure. So for them, first of all, I know them outside of the game, and when they're inside the game, I try to let them be, not try to change that aspect of their personality, because it is very difficult. All other things I can change.
Loose ends with people, strings which don't benefit you. All right, you said ask them to cut them. So how do you identify these loose loose ends, and what is the best way to cut it?
Well, again, this one is very contextual. So how did I explain it back then, or try to tell you back then, might be very different from now. But taking it in perspective of general context, that knowing when to cut ends, like loose ends, right?
Yes, cut loose ends.
So a chain, it breaks wherever it is the weakest.
Right.
So if it's a very long chain or very complex chain, you wouldn't always know where it got broke. But after the chain breaks, you'd surely know that it where's the loose end, or where is the like weak part of the chain. So trying to come with like social connects with people, people generally realize where this exists, the loose ends exist, after there's some there's some emotional incident or some rift between two people or something like that. But realizing that earlier sometimes becomes important, because you don't want to face that same hardship again and again. What if we can avoid it? So I don't know if there's a mantra or not, but whenever you start realizing that whatever is happening is not going in your favor, and there is a possibility that it is coming from someone or something that you do, you just have to test it, whether it's a loose end or something like that, weak part of the chain, and break that thing.
How do you test it?
Try to break that. Yeah, try to break that. Like, you'll have to I don't know whether I can give an example for this, but you'll have to do a test, a test, whether, if, like, for example, this happened recently with me. So I was YouTubing a lot, 6 hours a day is a lot. Some was for academics, some was for other purposes, but it was a lot, and it was occupying a lot of the day of my time, like lot of my time. So this is one thing I did. I just, stopped using YouTube for a whole day, YouTube or any other streaming platform for that matter. So that made me realize whether that was the reason I didn't do, and I did it for 2 days continuously. So it made me realize that that was not the actual problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The actual problem was me, what I was consuming on the platform. So things like these, first I realized that it was creating a problem. I was not able to do whatever I had thought of. And later I tried to test it, that whether it was a problem or not. And realizing that, you have to have some sort of personal confidence on what you think, that if I think that this is bad for me or something like that, I have to have, some sort of confidence on my thought process, that yes, that this actually could be a reason. So first is actually having faith in your own thinking, and then trying to test whether whatever you think is affecting you is actually, the courage to test, something like that.
Having the
And
courage
in
to
the
test,
end,
if I'm not wrong.
you will know, is what I think, whether that was a loose end or not, and whether you need to cut it off or not. You will know.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is success according to you, and what are your ingredients to success?
And for me, success is something that gives you that for a prolonged period. It should not be just a moment of happiness or something like that. So I would like to say that I was successful when I'm able to, gather all of the things that, made me feel good, and use that further in my life. Otherwise, it's just no use. Like, if I'm like, if I've taken a course in college which I don't actually need, and even if I excel at it, I'll feel good. Okay, I got great grades, but I didn't achieve much because I'm not going to use that subject ever. So there was this time when I excelled in a course which I just loved. I just wanted to, do it the best, and I did it the best. And I'm thinking about using that course in my CV right now. So isn't that success in the true sense? Something that, it's a trophy, something kind of a thing. So it's not about collecting trophies, but something that you can use to further develop your personality, and like your mental abilities especially. So that is what success to me. And what was the first question? What are my ingredients to success? My ingredients to success, like taking upon from that example, thanks to that success that I got, I'm able to answer this question. That my ingredients to success is, first of all, I have to realize whether I want it very bad. There's something that you think that, okay, this will help me, or this is what I want or not. So you have to, there's this 80-20 thing, right?
Yes.
That most you derive from, the 20% of your work,
Yes.
80% is what you derive out of. Isn't that right?
Like 80% of your
Yeah.
results come from 20% of your inputs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but you have 100 things to
20%
do,
of the thing.
especially in college, especially for me, like football and many other things. So they all are good things, and eventually they'll lead to some sort of success if I give enough time to all of them. But sometimes I feel I just need to, focus on one thing and let other things go. So this is what I do. If I have 10 things, I'll just take 2 and invest entire 20 in those 2, to reap those 80. Yeah, this is what I do. And I do that consciously. So I've done this consciously in my college life as well. So I had, released myself of the management obligations that I took up when I was in sports committee, because I knew I was soon going to become the captain of my football team. And I had to let other things go to excel at this. And I also have to, excel at academics, because that was impending as, in third year we are required to, get better grades than previous years so that we do better, especially. So I had decided and I did that. And, I got that success in the 5th semester. And I also did well in sports. So, yeah, like just prioritizing it this way is my ingredient for this kind of success. Yeah, that's what I say.
Wow, very nicely put.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Sagar Singh for you. Thank you so much for listening. You have been a wonderful audience. Catch you soon with another episode of the Student Athlete Podcast. Stay tuned.